All right, I think we're going. Welcome back to another one of these things where we just kind of talk about whatever comes to mind. Hope you're having a wonderful Thursday. Believe it's Thursday. Um, yeah, mine was doing all right. Fair bit of meetings today. I guess I feel like I say that a bit about what I do. So I guess being a being a manager just kind of results in meetings, I suppose. Caught a few things that would have been problems this weekend, or maybe like way, way down the line would have been a bit of a problem. Always kind of good to catch those things early and be like, yeah, you know what, we can work with this as long as we know why we're doing it this way, prepare, and then just know to make some tweaks later. So always kind of good to know those kinds of things in advance rather than being surprised by them later. So always good stuff. And it helps to have like a fantastic like team of people who are just like, yep, totally agree, we should be making these changes. We didn't mean to overlook that. And then they're just like, yep, don't worry, we'll take care of this, we got you. And I'm like, sweet. It's always good having people who are just like, kind of on top of things, even if they did something they didn't anticipate or didn't expect, or did something that has a result they didn't expect. That they're very willing to get back on there and be like, yeah, don't worry, I got this. Got you, fam. And I probably won't say that like ever again. But yeah, things to talk about today. I had this written down for a while, but a video that I had watched on YouTube today on the channel Sabrina and Friends. Used to be just called Sabrina. But she does a bunch of great videos just on basically observing the world that we're in, essentially, at any given point. And the video she was doing today, or that she put out today, was just about why entry-level jobs like always require like years of experience already. And one of the things that I've been thinking about a bit, since I've mentioned it a few times in videos here, but I've been doing interviews with various places, was looking at just a wide swath of things, basically, just stuff that I was interested in, from a writing, management, or development perspective, just anything that I can use my skills to like benefit something that I care about, basically. And at least on the development side of things, I always thought it was weird how skewed the ratio is between like, I want to say entry level, but like entry to mid level developers and senior developers. It seems like somewhere between 60 and maybe upwards 80% of the applications or job postings that I've seen are all like looking for a senior level person. And it just kind of blows my mind how that's like even the case. Like, I always thought it was a bit of an exception where I'm at, where when I hired on, I was an associate dev, like basically a junior dev, entry level. And I was basically immediately just put on a team full of other senior devs. And I always thought it was kind of an exception when we did get a new dev, it was usually a senior dev. My team, I think, gosh, when was it? I think it was probably like maybe 4 years. 4 years of me being the juniorist dev. I think I was the youngest, actually, for the longest time. But being the youngest and just the least senior developer on the team for roughly 4 years. And we had added how many other devs? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I swear there was one more. Maybe that was it. We had 5 devs that joined on after me, all of them senior devs. And then there was a little bit of a break there for a bit. And then we hired one more, and they were a new associate dev. And it was always kind of weird. it felt a little weird, but it also felt like, yeah, I get like kind of what we're working on. You'd probably want more senior people working on it, but at the same time, I figured it was just kind of an exception. So maybe this has been a problem, or not really a problem, but just like, in my opinion, it's a little bit of a problem, but a reality that's been around for a while. And why I say it's a problem is that, like, I got really lucky when I started off. I didn't have a 4-year degree in computer science or something related to development. My 4-year degree is in music. And I just went to a community college and got certifications in C# and Java programming. I had actually only finished one of them at the time. I think I finished my C# one, or I was about to finish my C# one, and I didn't finish my Java one for another year after I hired on. But when people go to school and they're like, hey, you go to college and you'll be able to get this like great new job. You don't have to go like through the entry level sort of doorway, like as much as like you would without a college degree. It's weird how many barriers there can be to getting that kind of a job still. Like, even though we're told, and this is like probably just a millennial experience, maybe a little bit prior to that, but very much we're told from a young age, it's like, you go to college because you don't want to be like the other people and work entry level or line level type positions. You want to get like straight to your 9-to-5 and start your career. And we're told that college is the way that you do that. So then when you get out of college, you'll be able to land a job that is a 9-to-5 and can be the start of a career. And those kinds of positions are in the minority, weirdly, at least from an office perspective. Like if you're looking to get into like software development, like as I'm looking right now, it's just a really high percentage of these positions that are looking for somewhere between 5 and 10 years of experience to get in. And a lot of like, just like maybe 20 to 30% of the rest are looking for 3 to 5. And those entry level ones are like 0 to 2. So at least they're open to like that you just got out of college, but they're still like, if you did have experience, we might give this to somebody else who's not out of college, but who has been developing for a couple years. Which is just kind of surprising to me. It kind of shows me just a little bit more how kind of lucky I got. And a little bit, and a bit of just the privilege I have too, for how I look and act, as a nerdy white dude, going into an industry notorious for being stereotyped with nerdy white dudes. So, but like just even taking a look beyond that, where now that I am sort of in that space again, seeing what's around, that reflects a lot of what I saw with my own team internally. It was only recently that we started getting more junior devs just to bolster the team and get more people who could just learn how to do stuff. And they've been fantastic. So it's really not like they're taking much longer than a senior developer to get ramped up on what we're doing. Maybe ramping up a bit longer for like mentoring other people or teaching other people new stuff. But certainly ramping up on how to do the job just as fast as some of the other senior devs that we've hired. So really just that years of experience, like that education, it prepares you for being able to learn. A lot of college is just learning how to learn, frankly. So, and that's all of what like dev is. You're just going out there. You don't know all the answers. You might know a language, but you don't know how to solve the problems you're presented with. You're hired, 1, because you know how to talk to a computer, 2, because you know how to solve problems. And a lot of that is just figuring out what you don't know and then learning it. So it's always kind of weird to me. But even thinking beyond that, it feels like there might be another reason why there's a very high volume or demand for a senior type dev. And this is being very, what's the word? Generous, thinking that companies have hired on their entry level devs, and they grew into the level that they are, building the thing that they have now. But because tech changes so fast, and where we're at now, everyone's just like, we got to go to cloud, we got to do all these things, we got to, like, the idea of an architect is just much more prevalent. Like, everybody kind of needs one. When I started here in this industry, I was kind of like, you know what, I should just learn how to do development or learn to code, because everybody needs a programmer. And at that time, I don't think like everybody needed an architect, somebody who would design kind of the bigger picture of how everything works. It's just you go in there and you solve a problem. That's a lot of what startups do anyways. It's just you find a niche, something that needs to be solved, that's relatively small. There's not a lot of competition, but there's a high need, and the people who are there will pay a lot of money to fill that need. Calculation for a startup. So you go in there and you code something, and it works, and you sell it, and then it's somebody else's problem to maintain it. And it's when you get to that point that you're looking for somebody who has a lot of experience, because the thing is built, they need to scale it now. And maybe that's more of a testament to computer science being something that like should be taught. I think that's probably pretty helpful. I don't have that background, honestly, so I don't really know how helpful it is to making a living in the like general software tech, web tech area, because I'm getting by fine without it. But having that background and just having a lot more emphasis on building out a big picture architecture could be a lot more helpful going forward than learning the low level how a computer works and like a more general purpose programming language, because you're not really looking for that. You're looking for people who can solve big picture problems, not how this thing physically works in our world and how to write code. You probably want to know those things, but the big thing people are looking to hire for is likely that big picture thinking and planning, where I think companies just assume that you're going to get that from somebody who has worked in the space for a while. That's certainly the case I feel like I get from the interviews that I have taken on the developer side of things. It's, can you do some of this just line level work, but also what's your experience in moving on-premise stuff to a cloud platform? How do you manage scalability? How do you manage high availability? Questions like that. Things that you probably do get experience in over time, but there's nothing saying that you have to be coding for 5 to 10 years to understand how to do that well. It's just thinking about it from an earlier time in your career or your education. So maybe that's just more of a testament to like the problems that are needing to be solved. Companies should assume that the more time you're in the industry, the more likely it is that you will have had to tackle a problem like that. But that could be easily countered by having the criteria going into an education for getting into the tech industry actually being more tailored toward that new big picture thinking. Because frankly, like a lot of problems are being solved and generalized so that like you don't necessarily need a programmer. Like as soon as everybody needed a programmer, the first thing everybody wanted to solve was, how do I not hire a programmer? So you get a lot of CMSs or things like Salesforce, where really all you need is a really good admin. You need somebody who understands one program really well, and this program does a lot of things that a programmer would have done. Things like site builders and stuff like that. So now you kind of have this like era of everybody needs a good admin for a tool that is all over the place, something like Salesforce. And that the problems you're trying to solve aren't necessarily like the things that those programs manage. You're not building that. You're building an ecosystem for how to run it in a way that it doesn't ever go down. So, yeah. Just some thoughts there. maybe we kind of need to think a little bit about why the industry asks for so many senior software developers, or senior web engineers, or senior front end engineers, or senior back end engineers, senior full stack engineers. We got a lot of words that end up in engineer. When really you probably could hire just about anybody who's been in that space and be like, yep, they'll adapt. Because if you are a developer, then chances are, if you're a good one, then you know how to learn. So you just sort of pick it up and go. But if really that mentality of we need a senior because you've been around the block and are at the point of solving big picture problems, then maybe we just recognize that we need to start teaching how to solve big picture problems rather than just building the individual app kind of thing. Anyway, that's probably enough there. Hope you're having a wonderful Thursday, and that continues on into a wonderful Friday. And we'll catch you in the next one. See ya.